Bright blessings, everybody. This is Saoirse doing another book review for Pagan Pages eMag today. And I am reviewing Seeking the Spirits of Palo Kimbisa and its teachings of Tata Rodriguez told to Sophia Kelly Schultz. This book can be found on Amazon as well as the Stone Circle Oracle that Miss Schultz has made. She both did the drawings and paintings for that Oracle deck, and she wrote the book about it too. She is an award-winning quilter and costumer and needleworker, and so she's one of our three-dimensional artists and craftspersons, as well as a very gifted writer. The thing that I like about the way that she writes is it draws you right in. Some books that you read get so technical you get tired from reading them and it feels like a chore. This is only 112 pages and you will get through it so quickly. She's got it broken up into chapters with different topics, all of which circulate around what Palo Kimbisa is or the teachings of Tata Rodriguez. And Kimbisa is considered what they call one of the African diasporic religions, or the religions that were developed in the United States from people that were brought to Africa. And it is a combination of course, the traditional African religion and Catholicism. Kimbisa is its own tradition, even though it's compared to Santeria and Hoodoo. There are going to be some similarities because all of those came from Africa originally, but each group of people in the part of the world where they were created, there's a little bit differently. So there'll be some similarities, but obviously a lot of differences. And Kimbisa, it has its own quote-unquote denominations. Palo does, and Kimbisa is one of them. This particular book was published in 2020, and the publisher was Red Feather, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And I'm going to go ahead and recommend this book, especially to people that that want to learn. You know, right now in this country, us white people are learning a lot more about what it's like to be black here. And of all times right now, we need to listen and pay attention to what the people who have kept their traditions from their homeland alive have done. And one thing that I'm going to say, it is warned about in this book of doing what a lot of eclectic pagans do, just playing around with the pantheons and giving an offering to this and an offering to that, but not really having a devotion or a relationship with these spirits. It is disrespectful. And the spirits don't really get anything out of it. They're not going to do anything for you. They don't care about you. They don't know you. And they might get pissed off, as Tata Rodriguez has warned about. You don't want to piss these spirits off. It's the same way if you know a human being who you have respect for. You're not going to just show up at their house if you're somebody who they don't know. So, you know, keep those things in mind when you're reading about this. There are Tatas around the nation who you can meet and work with if you feel that you are called to one of the Palo traditions, as well as Palo Kimbisa. But this is not something to be combined with other pantheons and traditions by people who don't have any connection with them. So I will say that first and foremost. And that's not a very popular belief in the pagan community, but ethnocentric indigenous people are telling us to stop misappropriating their faith traditions and practices, and protecting yourself is just one of the reasons to do that. So I'm going to read a little bit about Tata Rodriguez. He was initiated into Palo at the age of 16 and became an actual practitioner at the age of 21. So they don't do a year and a day from first degree to third degree high priest or priestess like what a lot of new Wiccan traditions like to do. He moves around for work and among his godchildren who he's adopted into his tradition, and he is currently in Florida. He is also a professional chef. Ooh, wonderful. And then Sophia Kelly Schultz calls herself an itinerant author and artist. And she's been working as a professional since the 80s, so she's basically one of our elders. She's best known for her paintings like Holy's Green Man, and of course her Stone Circle Oracle. She lives in Pennsylvania with her extremely patient husband of 31 years, David. Well, I understand that my husband is extremely patient too. First off, I'm going to read you from the end of the book. Is Palo evil? And this talks about the way that they're viewed by some people. Before I met Tata, I knew only about Santeria and Candomblé and had already formed an opinion that Afro-Caribbean religions should be treated with great respect. That shit is real. Since I met Tata, I discovered that for some people, respect can translate into fear. Apparently, even to practitioners of Santeria, certain other varieties of Afro-Cuban religion are scarier than others, and Palo was the scariest of them all. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. These are things that Tata was saying. Palo is primal, elemental. A lot of people find that scary. For them, using Palo would be like trying to live in a tent in an unexplored forest when you're used to living in a condo in a gated community. People who are used to living predictable lives get really squirrely when they encounter the unpredictable. It's the primal origins of Palo that make it seem dark. But the reality is, it's no darker than the lion that hunts the gazelle. The gazelle thinks the lion is terrifying. In order for the lion to survive, though, the gazelle must die. She said the law of the jungle. He nods. It's nature at work. Palo is nature at work. In Palo, they will have these pots or cauldrons filled with magical things that they feed female animal sacrificial blood to. So some things may be animal bones or even human bones in there. And indeed, some people who practice Palo have gotten into trouble for taking things out of graves. And I've spoken to someone who knows someone who practices voodoo that went to jail for that. They have a very strong grasp of sympathetic magic and how body parts beyond just your favorite animal fur have power in that. Palo is a full-time religion, they say. Some of the spirits and practices represent year-round 24-hour commitment. And reading about this doesn't make you an expert, they want to point out. They speak about different spirits in this book. For example, they talk about the whirlwind spirit, who is similar to one of the voodoo spirits, Centella. And they have her picture right here. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, Miss Sophia is a very good artist. This is the spirit that you speak with if you're wanting help with your business ventures. That it talks about a sacrificial gift that was given for her and some divination that was done to see that they were going to be successful. That is very, very interesting. But one thing that I'm going to read to you is about a teaching that they have about health, because this is one thing that I would like to see more pagans and heathens adopt. Our superstitions are one of the things that make us who we are, but those superstitions come from a time when we didn't have as strong of a grasp of science. And I would like people to stop contacting their tarot readers and priests and priestesses for diagnosis and go to the doctor more often. I would like to see people take their medication or eat right or drink water more often than try to wear a certain crystal that's supposed to balance out the blood. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this next section talks about balancing your magic with nature, because magic is, after all, a scientific thing. So here we go. This is on page 51, 11 a.m., Lucero Hospital. Today we examine the perils of attributing your health problems and those of your family to spirits, bad magic, and curses. The good news is it's probably not a curse at all, just you being paranoid. When asking health questions, find out first if there's a clinical cause of your ailment. When dealing with children, one must also take into account that children are really good at finding ways to get attention, that evil spirit might be your offspring. Oh, that is hilarious. I'm sure those of you who are parents can say, oh yes, my child is my little demon. That's hilarious. Not everything happens is the work of spirits. If Steve feels sick, it's the spirits. When his mother died, it's the work of another player of Santero. Tata Rodriguez shakes his head. The reality is that his mother overdosed on pain pills. There's a tug in his line. Slowly he begins reeling his query in. They project this onto kids too. He continues. A kid starts having screaming fits 3-4 times a day and suddenly they're possessed by a spirit. It's all I can do not to turn them around and tell their parents, your kid is 3. 3-year-old scream. You're the parents. What the fuck do you want me to do about it? Now, this priest sounds a lot like my priest. And that's what you find with your really, really good clergy persons. And then she ends this question with, well, Tata, I say, looks like we're sending out for dinner tonight. She explores the relationship that they had together and how they became as family. And that is one thing that the traditional ethnocentric religions give us that the mainstream religions don't so much give. But I found the same thing in paganism for myself, because when we get together, we don't just have somebody read from a book and sing a song and give money to the congregation and then leave and go out to lunch to harass wait staff and not leave them a tip. We share magic together, open circle or closed circle. We share magic, and we sometimes take parts of ourselves. Sometimes parts of ourselves go into other people, and parts of them come to us. We share that magic and we internalize that, and that's one of the same things that happens in Palo Kimbisa. And this is a wonderful, intimate account of Sophia's relationship with Tata and wonderful things that she read from him. And I highly recommend this book. And this has been Saoirse with Pagan Pages. Blessed be.